Hey guys, what's up? Caleb Downing here, and today we're going to go over the Dead Air Primal. Let's get into it. Alright, so the Dead Air Primal, the big boy, the big bore suppressor from Dead Air, right? The Primal, the 458. Or chambered, calibered for, wow, I'm really starting out real great. It's chambered or caliber rated, whatever, up to 458. That's the bore diameter. Wow, that really came out messed up, but I'm gonna leave it in there for you guys. Basically, let's go over some specs, right? Because that's kind of how we do this in these videos, to give you some specs. I'm not a spec heavy guy. If you want that, you can look it up on the internet. Generally, that's what I say, but people like it, so we're gonna put it in here. I'm gonna throw the specs up on the screen, and I'm going to read them off for you. All right. So here we go. This guy is caliber rated for 458 with energies up to 338 Lapua. So yeah, it's got some high energy rating of 5,100 foot-pounds. That's pretty heavy. Bore diameter, that's the word I was searching for earlier, is 458, so 458 caliber. The length is 7.9 inches. Diameter is 1.618 inches. So it's a little bit wide, but it's a big bore suppressor, makes sense. Weight is 16.4 ounces. The material is 17.4 stainless steel. That's very good. This is not a lightweight can. But it can take a beating. The finish is black Cerakote nitrided attachments. Usage, it says it is perfect dual suppressor that will withstand years of heavy use. All right, I'd be cautious whenever you look at dual suppressors, but we might get into that. MSRP right around 900 bucks. No barrel restrictions. Yes, it's full auto rated. Part number Primal, for whatever that's worth. All right, so that's your specs and data for you guys. So the folks out there that really want to know that stuff, it's right there, and hopefully it was up there on the screen for you. So let's actually talk about this guy. I remember when this first came out, a lot of people thought that this was going to be the 556 can, right? I mean, everybody has wanted a Dead Air 556 can, and whenever they were teasing that they had a new can, everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be it, it's gonna be it, and it wasn't it. But I don't think everybody was disappointed. I did not jump on board right away and get one of these. This is actually a customer of mine. He provided this can for me to let me do this video. He went ahead and got one of these because he has a 4570 that he wants to suppress. And with Dead Air, there was no suppressor that would suppress 4570. They had a 45 caliber can, the Ghost, right, which is a great pistol can, but it can't withstand the pressures of rifle cartridges. Whereas this guy, the Primal, this guy definitely can withstand rifle pressures, all right? We've shot this guy on 30-06, 308, 7.62x39, 4570. Those are the heavy ones that we shot through it. I do not have a 338 to shoot through this guy, wish I did. But what I can tell you, and I don't know how well it'll come across on video when we get to that part, is whenever you actually start putting high pressure into this can, it almost like flips onto turbo mode. All right, I'm talking high pressures like the 4570 and the 30-06. Something happens, some magic happens when you hit those higher pressures, and I don't know if it's the baffle geometry, what exactly they have going on in here, but it significantly helps reduce the sound. This guy actually does work. Some people have said and commented that this guy should have been made modular, kind of like the Ghost, kind of a lot like the Wolfman, right? And whereas I can definitely see that being something that would be pretty cool if you could chop it, chop the front third of it off and just have a K-can kind of thing. That's not what Dead Air wanted. Dead Air seems to have a very well thought out intent for their suppressors. That's why I kind of don't like it when they say it's a dual suppressor, because generally when you have a dual suppressor, you have a not good enough suppressor for most anything that it shoots, right? Like my first can I bought as a dual suppressor. That's the least used can that I have nowadays because it can do a lot of stuff, doesn't do it all very well. The Primal is specifically really should be for those heavier, the 4570s, right? The heavy 338s, even 30-06 rifle cartridges. That's where this guy really does shine. Can he be used on a 5.56 and all these other things? He can, and maybe if you only want to spend money on one can, this guy would do it. And it would make sense in that regards why they did not turn this into a modular suppressor, because they wanted to keep this thing just bomb-proof. And that's kind of what I was going for earlier when I started off on that tangent. The fact that since they had a design that they wanted this thing just to be super, super solid. The Primal, it can eat whatever you feed it, basically, is what they're going for, from what it sounded like. So in order to keep it as strong as possible, I think they just did away with any modularity, because when you start adding modulation to things, you start having weak points and stuff, whereas this guy is stainless steel, this guy is tough, this guy is solid. You're going to have a tough time really breaking it, all right? So let's talk about what comes with this thing. We kind of talked for a tangent about this a little bit, but let's talk about what comes with this. And this is how the customer got this. The guy that's loaning this to me for this video, this is how he got this. So I don't know down the road if they change things. I'm not sure, but this is how it comes, and this is what it says it comes with in the box, all right? So this box is empty right now, but inside here you will get obviously your suppressor, right? Not the chemo. It does not come with a chemo. It comes with a direct thread, so a 5/8 by 24 direct thread. Comes with their HUD adapter. We'll talk about that in a minute. It does come with your little spanner wrench thing, so very, very handy, because when you go to mounting up different mounts and things to here, it's very nice that they provide these things. These things cannot cost that much to manufacture. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, if they're pumping out a bunch of them, these things can't be that expensive, and the fact that they just give them to you in the box versus making you go out and buy them, that's cool. That's cool. Apparently, they haven't always done that. And some of the older suppressors, I'm not sure about the Primals, but it's a good thing they do that now. Also, you get your cigar wrapper thing for whatever that's worth. Your instruction manual, which is really just this card, right, with a little QR code thing right there, so you can snap that, take a picture of it, however, you know, go through your phone to open that up. And then you have your instructions, which is nice. Because in a way, like you talk about cost of manufacturing things, if you're pumping out a whole bunch of manuals, that's multiple pages and things and stuff, and you can't go back and fix it. Whereas these guys here, this is simple. This is very simple. And whoever reads their actual manual? I don't know. Most people probably don't. You probably should. You really probably should. Especially when it comes to like caliber ratings and barrel restrictions, which isn't that big a deal with this guy, but you really should read your manual, but that makes it an easy way to do that. Also comes with a little decal thing you could put on something. I've never used these decals, but it's nice that they give them to you. Everything is just wrapped up in this nice little box. Pretty simple, straightforward. So, all right, let's talk mounts real quick. On the back here, on the mount, this is a 1 3/8 by 24 industry standard mount, right? That's what comes with this. That's nice. That's very nice. They didn't go with some weird proprietary thing. They stuck with an industry standard, which means you can use industry standard mounts. Whatever company that is that you might already have bought into and you have their mounts, so you want their QD system, as long as it's that industry standard 1 3/8 by 24 mount or thread pitch, you should be able to use it. And I say should because I'm sure at some point there's one or two or whatever that won't work. I don't have them all, so I don't know. But what I can tell you is what comes with the suppressor is the direct thread. The direct thread is great if you're just going to put the direct thread on the suppressor and put it on the gun and leave it. That's probably the best thing to do because you're not going to waste that internal volume, right? With mounts and things sticking up inside the suppressor taking up space, you get the full maximum suppression ability of the suppressor and weight, reduction, right? Because this guy weighs less than everything else. So if you're just going to like plug it in and leave it alone, direct thread's probably one of the better ways to go, and they do supply that. They also supply the HUD adapter. We'll talk about that in just a second. Since the industry standard is used on here, the 1 3/8 by 24, you can go ahead and use your chemo mounts. So that's nice. The chemo goes straight on there. And then if you have a key micro, right, or any of the other, I don't know if they have a specific pattern name for it, but the mounts for the Primal and the Wolfman, like the Tri-Lug and the Booster, if you use the HUD adapter, that adapts the 1 3/8 by 24 thread pitch to that smaller thread pitch for the Primal and Ghost, right? Or the Key Micro. You can use the Key Micro or these guys. And that's nice. That's nice that they provided this little ring, the HUD adapter. That makes sense. It's nice because they know a lot of people are probably going to try to get this and use it as kind of a do-all-ish thing. I mean, that's in their description. That's in the specifications. They call it a do-all suppressor. So that's nice that they provided that. They didn't have to, but I'm glad that they did. But you can use those. The Booster and the 3-lug and then the Key Micro, those are all usable with this guy, right? I mean, it makes sense. It's all Dead Air stuff, so they should make it run in their system. But outside of Dead Air, I do have a Yankee Hill Tri-Lug as well as a Yankee Hill Booster, and these guys will work, right? They are the industry standard thread pattern, And that's the booster. I mean, he connects in there, very clean, very nice looking. Functions perfectly fine for me, right? And the tri-lug looks a little big and everything, but honestly, when you put it in, it is a very clean, very smooth looking attachment system, right? It works. It works. Now, one thing to note is if you're using a different company's attachments and things, the wrenches that come with the Primal, the teeth on here are a little bit too big to grab, particularly on the Yankee Hill stuff. They're a little bit too big. The wrenches will not work with the other attachments from all the other companies. I mean, some of them they might, some of them they won't. Yankee Hill, they won't. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's not a knock against Dead Air. It's not a knock against Yankee Hill. They're two different companies, two different things. Just something to note, But that's the mount in general. I mean, again, I'll say it one more time. Industry standard thread pattern. If you have an industry standard attachment or QD or whatever kind of device, it should work. So, something else to talk about is on the end here, this does use the standard, standard for Dead Air, the end caps, right? This comes with a 458 end cap, so a big, like 45 caliber end cap, or front cap technically. You could go ahead and put on 5.56, 30 cal. What do they have? They have a 6mm. They got a couple different other end caps that you could throw on here. As well as a e-brake. You can put an e-brake on here. Now be careful, because as far as I'm aware of right now, there is no 45 caliber e-brake. So don't be looking at your caliber on here and saying, this is good for 45. That's great. I'm going to put an e-brake on here and shoot it on my 45-70. You're going to blow a hole through the end of it, which that hole is not made to be that big, right? For the e-brake. The e-brake is 30 caliber and below. So if you're shooting that 30 cal stuff, 30-06, 300 blackout, different things like that, then that's okay, right? That would make sense. But until they come out with a 45 caliber e-brake, just be very, very, very careful about what calibers you're shooting through that e-brake, right? Don't just plug it on here and just assume you're good. Just be very careful, right? But it is cool that they allowed this to be the same pattern, right? So you have modulation a little bit at the end, and that does make a difference if you're using the flash hider end caps. If you have a Wolfman and you have a wiped end cap, there you go. That's something you could do. Shooting 9mm and stuff, that would make a difference. But that's pretty cool. All right, so let's head out to the range. Let's check this guy out. Let's shoot it on some different hosts that we have. Come back and wrap this video up. All right, guys, so there you go. I thought that was interesting. To be quite honest, the best thing that this guy did for me, as far as sound goes, is really that 45. The 45-70 is great. That was subsonic ammo we were shooting out of there. That sounds really good. Surprisingly, that big old heavy bullet, you would think it'd be a lot louder and stuff, but you can hear when that thing connects, even when it connects when it impacts dirt and stuff, just the thud that 45-70 has. But when you're shooting this guy on a booster on the 1911, something about it, man. It just is such a low tone, right? And it's just a pleasant thing to shoot. It has made me, honestly, want to get one of these for my 45. I have a Ghost. This guy honestly sounds better, and that probably is just due to the fact that it's larger. It's just slightly, I mean, it's larger. It's definitely larger. On the inside and everything, it's non-modular. The Primal is non-modular, so there's less internal areas being taken up by mounts and threads and different things, so it just kind of makes sense. But anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on this thing. You can use this just like in the name Primal. I think that's what they were going for, that you can feed it pretty much anything. 45 caliber and below, and even 458, right? 458 and below, you're pretty much going to be good with it, right? No barrel restrictions. You could stick this on a shorty little 45, a 9mm. It did really well. Just don't be shooting 22s through it. That's not what you're supposed to do. Solid welded cans and things, they're not serviceable, so don't mess them up shooting 22s through it. But 5.56, 7.62 by 39, all those different calibers, it can do them all. But where it really shines, in my opinion, is on that 45. That was amazing to me. The 45-70 and the 30-06. Those are just the ones to me that it just did the best. So for me, if you're looking for a caliber for those specific things, big bore stuff, even a 45 pistol, it's a big suppressor for a 45 caliber pistol, but it sounds very nice. Surprisingly sounds very, very nice. Shouldn't really be surprisingly, it's so big. But it comes with its costs as a pistol suppressor. If it's so big, you know, there's some trade-offs and stuff there. But for those things, that's where I would say this guy is best for. Anyway, guys, I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it helpful. If you have one of these, I would love to hear you guys' experience with it. What do you like to suppress out of this? Did you get it because it was supposed to be a dual suppressor? Or did you have a specific firearm in mind, a specific caliber or purpose that you were intending this guy to be used as? That sentence didn't really make sense, but I think it came across right. I hope it came across right. That is it. Y'all be good to be safe. I appreciate you guys watching, subscribing, and hopefully we'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.